So what we've got here is my friend's MLD Duomid. This used to be Paul Messner's and he sold it. And interesting, my friend bought it. So he's got his cook pot here. So that's an Avenue cook pot. And what was the cone called, Chris?
I think it's called Vesuv.
Vesuv.
A European.
So a European Vesuv thing there.
From Valley and Peak.
Right, okay, so that's in Valley and Peak if you're passing them. He's got his MLD Exodus pack. Foam mats, he likes his foam mats like I do. So you've got a Tyvek ground sheet under there. And
I wouldn't have bothered with that if I hadn't bought the Uberlite from Thermarest. It was just really that I noticed the other week thistles were poking through the bottom of the ground sheet.
Right,
so
okay. Just give it extra protection because so you've got the Uberlite, which is now discontinued. Yeah. And I think it's just too light, and I think it kept failing because they were too light.
That was a replacement because my one failed and they sent that one brand new, and I've got it out the
okay.
They sent it back to me about a year ago, but I hadn't got round to using it this summer until the other week.
Right, okay. So it'll be interesting to see how long this one lasts for you.
Go back as well.
Yeah, yeah. They'll probably end up sending you an NXT as a replacement if this one fails.
Nice.
Yes.
I didn't need to bring that. I normally take this when I'm using the quill. It's just a rab silk liner, and I put it over like a sock over the sleep pad. And it's in the summer you get a bit hot. It's a bit sticky, so it's just a bit like having a bed sheet. It's only about 90 grams. So it's not too much of a weight penalty. And then I'm using just a mounting equipment, barely anything bag.
Right.
I think it's called Transalp.
Oh right, yeah.
And it's got a supposed, I never really trust these things, but it's like for 8 degrees Celsius, yeah.
Right.
Weighs 450 grams.
Right.
Obviously, not all of us can afford to buy a PhD, whatever that's called.
M degree.
M degree, yeah.
Yes.
And then up the end here, I've just got a bit of a generic
foam pad under there
that weighs bugger all. And this is my pied de resistance. It's actually an X-Ped, that super light X-Ped. I don't know what one it's called. It weighs about 30-40 grams, but then I've stuffed it in a Nemo Philo
right
pillowcase. I've taken the core out of the Nemo Philo, which is it's obscenely heavy. It's lovely, the Nemo one, when you use it properly.
Right.
I mean, use it as intended.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've put this just a piece of that stuff in the back to raise it some
raise it even more. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so yeah, that's me.
A good idea. Mind your cooker right behind your feet.
Yep.
Stand on that.
Yeah, nothing else.
No.
That's the point of interest. I'm using an A frame.
Right, yeah. So how did the A frame setup go?
So what I bought from the now defunct backpackinglight.co.uk a flick lock poling extender. So you can't get these anymore. So a couple of these, and I've just used it with just sort of standard black diamond. I don't know what they're not, the Alpine carbon cork, they're the aluminium ones.
Right, okay.
Then at the top we've got the pole jacks.
This is Ron's pole jacks for at the very
short
top.
Ones because they're always a bit.
Yeah, they don't wobble as much, do they?
I mean, I suppose I could take this down just to show you and then put that. But what I tend to do is on the end of the, I'll just show you, on the end of the trekking pole, put a bit of electrical tape around there.
All right, okay.
When this,
You've got to put it all back together again.
It doesn't matter. So when the pole jack. I know it's a pole jack's kind of wobble, but with a bit of electrical tape, it doesn't really.
Ah, right. Oh, that's a good idea.
There, but
yeah, so that's a good idea. There's a tip for you.
Because a lot of people find they can't get the length. Double on time.
yeah.
Can't get the length.
Can't get it long enough.
So these are the backpacking light pole, flick lock pole extenders. And I think this company, I think Bob, his name was Bob, and his wife, I think they're the people who make the honey stoves.
Oh, right.
Some of your viewers will probably be familiar with them.
Probably.
I know Sandy's a fan of them.
Oh, is he?
But,
yeah.
That was their firm, and they've sold it, I believe, to Valiant Peak.
Right, yes.
But whether there's any dead stock that they're gonna put in stock on Valiant Peak's site, I really don't know.
No.
But it's a real neat thing, because you just take the end, you know, the bottom section of the pole out, stick that in. You know, you can get quite a bit of extra length.
Yeah.
Like so even if you weren't using an A-frame configuration,
you could use it as one upright pole, and
or
just
if you're using a super mid, or what's the largest of runs?
super mid. Yeah, super mid.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it'd be brilliant for that. Using a Speedster backpacking stove's burner,
Right.
which is more or less the same as the Kojin stove that Trail Designs produce. It's just got that.
Right,
Not carbon felt, but some whatever wadding that is with the usual mesh on the top. But to be fair, I think the Kojin stove burns better. I noticed last night it wasn't blooming as much as quickly, and the fuel wasn't being distributed all over the tin as it usually would with the. But I do have a sidewinder, but I just thought I'd
try the other one for a change.
Serve as a backup, just in case anything ever went awry with my. Well, to be honest, what I did, I bought a Second Avenue pot, because my son, he often comes with me and Tony on a camp, but he couldn't this weekend because he was working. And so he normally uses just a Toaks and an X-Ball setup, and I wanted to buy him a Avenue 600 pot. And I thought then you could use it with the Vesuve, and I chucked that in there. As soon as I was packing up, I thought I would use that setup instead of my usual sidewinder setup. The frame was fine. I don't have a particular problem with.
I think just the one thing I hadn't thought of last night. If you got some cord that you can stretch between the poles under everything, that will stop it.
Yeah, but it did. To be honest, that splaying out business didn't really happen.
Right. Okay. So you didn't have a problem with that anyway.
If it was windier conditions, I'd probably elect to use that.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with just using the conventional centre pole. But obviously we see things, we think, I'll try that.
Yeah.
So I bought the dual pole connector from Ron last year, or maybe longer, I think probably about 18 months ago. And I didn't get round to using it until this year, and I've been really pleased with it. But as I say, I don't have I mean, I've heard that in windier conditions it's a bit dicier, which I can understand. I think there's probably more integrity with just a single pole.
Yeah, I would think the downward pressure on one pole is probably better when it's very windy.
Yeah, and I think the guy out points, the design of the main structure of the four guy out points, you know, on the four corners corresponds better with that centre.
Right, yeah.
I'm not a physicist.
No.
The centre of whatever.
Yeah, centre of whatever.
Centre of the universe.
Yeah.
Centre of the time-space continuum.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to let you put that back up again,
Tony.
and we'll start packing up slowly. Thanks very much for a little wander around your shelter.
Thanks,
very
Tony.
nice, thank you. I've just done a very, very basic you know, configuration here, just something a little bit different. So you could run a line from that on the bungee up to there. Just make sure that's not too tight. So I think you can do that. I think that's the idea of, you know, of that bungee, is, you know, is for some degree of pitching, and just make sure it's not too tight. You could obviously also just raise, you know, do an A frame with it that way. I don't have enough time or handy guy lines. I've got some guy lines, but I will admit I don't have enough time to mess around. We need to be packing away, so I had to improvise and put extra guy lines, you know, to make it all, you know, longer that way and that way. So I had to take lines off and double lines up. But obviously if you had some other lines, then you could put some lines there. And then with a bivy like this, you know, a more waterproof bivy, you would be able now, you know, if the wind was, you know, blowing this way, there was a bit of a breeze or something, you know, and it was raining, yes, rain would get to you, but you would probably be able to do the zip up, you know, enough but not fully, so that you could probably breathe under that. And of course the other thing that you could do is make it a bit like I had it last night, really. You could pitch this side here, you know, you'd have to obviously lower the centre pole, you know, quite a bit, because it is quite a small tap. But obviously you could pitch one side, you know, down to the ground or quite low to the ground with an A-frame, and then the side away from the wind, you could pitch that, you know, up to give you some coverage. Like I said, I haven't pitched it very well, so this isn't, you know, this isn't an exact this isn't an exact pitch for you, but you would be able to get here and get under cover, and then, and you know, you'd have, you know, enough, just about enough headroom. That's what it would look like at the back. And if you have the Pro Poncho in the nylon or the poly now, then you can also do this type of configuration, you know, with that as well. So anyway, we're gonna have to slowly start packing up, because it's time is ticking by a bit. But I just wanted to show you that little configuration there. And of course the only problem, of course, with having your mat outside the ground sheet is then it's quite wet. So we'll just leave that. We've actually got a bit of sun come in it, so we'll just let a little bit of sunshine get to that